Hello and welcome to the semifinals here at Grand Prix Philadelphia. Marshall Sutcliffe in the booth with Magic the Gathering Pro Tour Hall of Famer Ben Stark, and we are underway in our feature match area. We have the second-ranked player in the world, currently Reed Duke, into the semis playing against Mark Evaldi. It's really been Mark's weekend. You know, he finished the first day of the tournament with 0 losses. And he also won his first draft pod, so he was off to a great start. Stumbled a bit, picked up a couple of losses, but salvaged it and found himself in the top 8. And now he's got to try to beat Reed Duke. Now, Reed Duke has a very controlling deck, Ben, and what you were saying is the quick starts is what's going to beat him. How good is a Minotaur Skullcleaver against him?
Well, it's good. It hits for 4 and then turns back into a 2-2, you know. He didn't have a 2-drop mark, though. So, I mean, I don't think this is too quick a start.
Okay.
I would call this about a medium speed start.
And medium speed's not going to get it done against Reed, right?
Most likely not. I mean, it depends on if Reed hiccups at all or not.
Okay.
That's the other thing. Like, if Reed gets stuck on 3, you know, his whole deck costs 4 or more. So he might not even have a second 3-drop to do. Right. Now, if Reed just goes turn 4 Disciple of Phoenix, turn 5-drop, it's near impossible to beat him, you know?
All right, here's medium again. This allows the Minotaur Skullcleaver to get in there, and interestingly, the Fearsome Temper that he played on it not only garners him an attack and damage this turn, but also means that Servant of Timurat gets a little awkward here, right? It's like, you know, Reed has to play this fun game here where, like, if he leaves his mana untapped, he kind of forces Mark to tap out, and Mark, by the way, misses land drop here, and spend the mana so that the Servant can't block. But, of course, Reed loses that. So he needs to add to the board, and then he can get himself into that situation. Oh, let's just change everything right now.
Yeah, it just shrinks it back to a 2-2.
It makes it back a 2-2, but now it can be blocked.
Sure.
Though, will Reed block this turn?
Yeah, and I mean, Mark's got to have – I think I see a Battle-Wise Valor in his hand.
I think he's also got a Titan Strength as well.
Right.
So infinite tricks. I mean, this color combo has access to the most tricks possible. And Reed, I don't think he blocked.
He must have blocked because, I mean, Mark wouldn't play this Titan Strength just to deal damage.
Okay, I mean, I'm wondering, he's missing land drops here. Like, he's up against it pretty bad here.
I think Reed has 3 forests and a swamp and hasn't missed a land drop. So I think he's banking on maybe drawing 1 land here and casting things.
Yeah,
you know?
I think he just did. I think he drew a forest. Now, did Mark scry to the top? I didn't see. He did it really quickly or he missed it. I'm not sure which one.
And
but
that Nessian Asp is way bigger than anything Mark has out.
Mark also doesn't have access to regeneration mana for that Deathbellow Raider, so this could get ugly here. Nessian Asp holding down the fort in a pretty big way, and Mark's going to need, well, he's going to need multiple tricks to get by that Nessian Asp. I know you said he's got the Battle-Wise Valor in his hand, but that's not quite enough on its own.
No, it's not enough. And, you know, you can't blame Mark for using Titan Strength over Battle-Wise Valor. Titan Strength, he was able to play the Deathbellow Raider and the Titan Strength. And the Titan Strength's a little bit more frail of a trick. But as it turns out, you know, the Battle-Wise Valor's not enough to get through Nessian Asp, and the Titan Strength would have been.
All right, and here it is. Great turn of events for Reed Duke here. Not only does he get to eat Deathbellow Raider, but there's no, you know, Lightning Strike to follow it up or anything like that. He gets to untap with Nessian Asp facing down a lowly 2-2, and again, a fairly comfortable life total at 12.
Right. The only thing not going for Reed right now is that I think he drew another forest.
Okay.
So he has 5 forests and 1 swamp, and we know most of his deck is double black.
That's right.
3 or 4 Disciple of Phoenix, 2 Grey Merchant, Keepsake Gorgon, 2 Sip of Hemlock. I mean, there are a lot of double black cards in his deck.
Okay.
So I think Reed's going to have to hide behind this Nessian Asp until he can find a swamp.
Kind of wait it out.
Yeah. I mean, it looks like he has a Lash of the Whip in the hand. So he's not facing too much. I mean, it looks like he's casting something else too.
Mogus's Marauder, and yeah, you're right. He's going to hide behind the Nessian Asp, but he's going to get in a poke here with the Mogus's Marauder.
And if Reed draws that swamp, I don't know what he's holding. It looks like maybe a Grey Merchant.
Now, is Reed also like playing around Divine Verdict in any way here? Because, you know, another line that Reed could take is attack with the Nessian Asp and leave back the Marauder to block and just trade for the Skullcleaver or eat a trick.
Yeah, I think Reed really wants to gum up the board because he's got all those Grey Merchants and Disciple of Phoenixes. I mean, at the moment, I'm pretty sure I can make out Reed's hand. I think it's a Grey Merchant, a Lash of the Whip, and a Sip of Hemlock.
Okay.
So
I mean, this game going longer benefits him greatly then.
Right, but I mean, with Mark missing all those land drops, Mark's got a bunch of spells in hand too.
Okay. There's Elite Skirmisher.
So, I mean,
that could be problematic.
Yeah, if Reed finds the second swamp, which it's pretty unlucky here. I mean, Reed's looking at 6 forests and 1 swamp.
Right.
I mean, that's not that likely.
Yeah. He does get to monstrous his Nessie and Asp here unless he finds a reason to fire off that Lash of the Whip.
Right. He might want to lash the Skirmisher, because if the Skirmisher gets targeted, even if he lashes it, it'll still get to tap the Asp in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, he can use more mana end of turn to do it. He could just main phase lash it if he wants right now.
Yes.
But if I'm Reed, that Skirmisher's looking pretty threatening to me.
Yeah. Certainly the most threatening thing on the board currently. Reed uses up all his mana, though. That way he gets to spend all 7, and now maybe he can play a 2-drop or a 3-drop
right,
plus
and have
his
lash, of course.
Lash. Yeah.
No, I like that play of Monster Sting and end of turn. Also, if you draw the Swamp, you might not want to lash it anymore. Maybe now you just play Grey Merchant. You've got a lot of defense.
Mm-hmm. All right, here's Nessie and Asp rumbling into the red zone
I think
here.
he did draw the Swamp.
Did he? Because, yeah, a Grey Merchant, yeah, there it is, would be pretty nice here. Yep. And there's a Grey Merchant for 3, bringing Reed back up to 15, dropping Mark down to 7 after he took the full 8 from Nessie and Asp.
Yeah, and I feel like this game is pretty much going to slip out of reach for Mark here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the second Swamp for Reed brings online Grey Merchant and Sip of Hemlock. And with Reed's life total restored to 15 and with a Sip to spare, I really can't see how Mark's going to turn this game. He's facing down an 8-9. He's got Reed's got 2 direct removal. He's got an 8-9 that can block flyers.
Mm-hmm.
He's got the same amount of creatures Mark has out. Mark's deck is the early game deck that Reed's deck was scared of, but he didn't make a 2-drop. His 3-drop only had 2 power. Reed did have a 3-drop, and I just think this game is out of reach at this point.
It does feel like it, and this is very similar to what we faced in the first round, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we saw Pierre-Christophe Mondon have kind of a similar heavy red deck that just didn't have any big punch going forward, and so far Mark is in a similar scenario. Now we know he's got a really nice top end though, with a Stormbreath Dragon and such. Here's a Faragax Giant. If you're sitting at 15, do you just take the hit here?
Probably. I mean, I don't want to get burnt out, though, and a 5-5 is still smaller than my 8-9 by a substantial margin.
Okay.
Oh, no, you know what? Reed's got a Sip that we know about.
He's got a Sip, and he still has that Lash of the Whip as well, right?
Yeah, so there's no reason to take 5 damage. You can just Sip it and then attack with your Nessie and Asp here.
Okay. What's going on the other table, BDM?
So Adam and Q, she's making green-white look awfully good.
Uh-oh.
Steamrolled Frank Scarron, who's green-blue.
He's green-blue.
In one quick game. Worth noting, there were 5 white decks at the start of the quarterfinals, down to 2 white decks right now in the semifinals.
Okay.
And a lot of green around the table. 3 green decks.
Okay, good to know. Thanks, BDM. And here's that Sip of Hemlock. We saw that Reed attacked first because that way he could leverage the power of his instant speed Lash of the Whip.
Right.
If Mark took a really aggressive block.
Right. Mark could double block. No, he'd have to triple block. So,
Triple block.
Is unlikely, but not
very
impossible.
aggressive, yes.
I mean, there's no reason to show him you're going to Sip first.
Absolutely.
And it probably doesn't change anything. If he did Sip and then attacked, it would just get chump blocked by the same Bronze Sable.
Mm-hmm.
But you never know. You might as well give him a shot to triple block it.
Absolutely. All right, Mark's going to play Rage of Perforos on Grey Merchant, which takes away a potential attacker, actually, and also reduces Reed's devotion down just in case there's another Grey Merchant around. But really, it's the Asp, right? I mean, that's the problem.
How's Mark going to win this game?
Right.
He
also got a scry out of that, I suppose. So, maybe he's digging for a card like a Divine Verdict or something.
Yeah, I mean, all Reed has left is a Lash of the Whip, but, I mean, he's got an 8-9 in play.
Right.
How can a red-white deck beat that 8-9?
Yeah, Divine Verdict, Chain to the Rocks. I mean, there's a few cards, but, he's got to dig to find them. I think that was part of the impetus, and there we go. So if he had not have killed that Grey Merchant, he would just be dead here. Instead, he's going to drop down to 2, and he's almost dead here.
Does Mark have a Chain to the Rocks?
Oh, let's take a look. Yeah.
Oh, he does.
He actually does.
What a Boros deck here.
Yeah.
Stormbreath Dragon, Chain to the Rocks.
Yeah.
Does he have any other goodies?
Take a look.
What's he got in that bag? Heliod's Emissary? This is a nice little deck.
Unfortunately for Mark, it didn't get there this time. The power of Nessie and Asp was too much to overcome him.
This is a nice semifinal matchup we have here. I really like Mark's deck, and I really like Reed's deck too. This is quite the match. Mark
Reed's deck is sweet, by the way. We've seen it really just – I mean, he didn't even draw some of his really good stuff. He had a perfectly good draw there, but, I mean, you know, we didn't see, like, the Courser of Crucifix come out there.
You missed game 1, round 1 here where he went turn 2, Solvin Carotid, and then turn 3, he doesn't have to play a land because he's got the Carotid. And he tapped the 3 mana in play and played the Courser of Crucifix, flipped the top card. It wasn't a land, but he still played a land from his hand, and then after that he hit some land to put into play. Reed's deck is very good.
I do remember that.
Yeah. Reed's deck is very, very good. Mark's deck is very, very good.
Yeah.
Like this is a very exciting semifinal match. But I mean, Mark's deck, you know, just taking a look through it, I mean, it is really impressive. I mean, he's got the removal, he's got Lightning Strike, Chain to the Rocks, and Bolt of Coronas.
Also, Rage of Perforos in there too.
Rage of Perforos.
I realize that's not the top tier, but
no, but he's got a good curve, good creatures. He's got, you know, Oreska's Sun Guide, Elite Skirmisher. You know, he's got a Crow and Hoplite. You know, just Heliod's Emissary is a real power card. You know, just basically everything you want. He's got the 2-drops, he's got the 3-drops, he's got the pump spells, he's got the removal, he's got a Storm Breath Dragon for power, a Heliod's Emissary. I mean, you know, nice, you know, really good quality decks from both of them.
I like that. I love seeing that. Just 2 sweet decks. And I also like how these 2 decks have vastly different strategies in each other as well. I mean, we have a fairly classic, you know, beatdown versus control matchup here. Reed Duke looking to get things to the long game if possible, where his attrition cards can take over and his huge monstrous creatures can take over, where Mark has a nice top end, but he's, you know, he is looking to kind of cinch this thing up after, you know, turn 6 or 7 or whatever.
Very clearly defined roles here in this matchup.
All right, let's take a quick peek over at our other match here. This is Frank Scarron on the left. And on the right-hand side, here's Frank's deck right here, actually. He's out, he's out. He's out, and he's out. That is Adam Mancuso. Now you see those lands. That's the land guy I was talking about. You notice they all match. I mean, they're gorgeous.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to play with some random draft land either after playing with those.
I mean, they are pretty, but they still only tap to add 1 mana.
You're like the guy that watches basketball, sees just a savage dunk. It's like, it's only worth 2 points.
Yeah, I'm exactly like that.
All right.
Both these decks look pretty good, too.
Yeah, this is a nice – look at the board state here for both of these players, especially over on Adam's side. I mean, those are some powerful cards. Voyaging Satyr, Phalanx Leader, and Nessian Asp. Those are all, like, first-pick quality cards.
Yeah, we're seeing Nessian Asp be a stone wall, really.
It really is. I mean, it's done this ever since the beginning of the format, and I've had it at best green common for a while now. You could make an argument with Voyaging Satyr. Some people even have said Leaf Crown Dryad creeps into the discussion there too, but I just want my Nessian Asps.
Yeah, those are pretty much the big 3. I think Time to Feed is good, but it's a little situational, so I think it pretty much comes in 4th.
Sure.
Well, you've got something. It's not every day that Phalanx Leader attacks into a 4/4, a 3/3, and a 3/2.
As a 1/1.
I don't know what.
Like, there could be 2 somethings here. This attack is this is just an egregious attack.
We don't know Frank's life total, but assuming it's not too low, do you just like throw everything in front of Phalanx Leader?
That's what he's doing.
Yeah.
He's just dumping everything in there.
Show me what you got, because I'm going to block your Phalanx Leader.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, the good news, if you're sitting in Adam's seat, is that Frank's tapped out. So there's no surprises here. He gets to just sculpt what he wants to do. No. I believe that there's I think what his hand is, I don't think he has enough mana for both. Oh, he does, the Voyaging Satyr. So he's got Reap What Is Sown, and he's also got, what is it called? A Feral Invocation.
Feral Invocation, but is Phalanx Leader going to get to 8 toughness? It's still going to die, right?
Let's see here. It's going to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's going to have 6 toughness.
So it's going to die.
It's going to die.
Yeah, so I mean, this actually doesn't work out that badly for Frank here. He's drawing a card when his Fate Foretold creature dies, and he's killing a Phalanx Leader. He's killing that Feral Invocation.
It is interesting.
This is a not good attack by Adam here. I mean, I understand that he had all these tricks, and maybe he was hoping Frank would make a mistake. But Falnik's leader is just so fragile. Why not just attack with just a Nessie and Asp?
Yeah, just an Nessie and Asp. So that didn't happen, though. We're going to keep an eye on that one. I'm sure BDM's all over it as well, but we're back underway in our main feature here. Reed Duke has, well, his ideal turn 3 play here. He's got his Courser of Crufix, his rare, his first pick of the whole draft. Doesn't bother blocking Deathbellow Raider, and Mark misses a land drop.
Yeah.
Yep. Now does Reed have his lands? He doesn't see one on top here, but he can.
That's a swamp in his hand.
Yeah, free to play them from his hand. It's
So,
going to
this game is pretty much over. I mean, I hate to.
No, I know what you're saying,
yeah.
man. I know it never feels good to say that.
Yeah.
But missing a land drop there as Reed Duke has this into this is just devastating.
I mean, I guess Reed doesn't have land 5, I guess. No, does he? Is that a swamp in his hand?
I mean.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, no, Reed does have land 5.
Okay.
Yeah, this is going to be pretty ugly.
This could get out of control here.
Yeah.
We'll see how this goes. But again, this is what happens. We were talking about it a minute ago, where one player is the beatdown, and he doesn't have the initiative.
No. Yeah, and I mean, I know this game might be mostly over, but the other game looked really good.
It did.
I kind of want to get back to the Falnik's leader, the giant Nessie and Asp that's going to be left in play, and the Falnik's leader is going to die in that combat step.
Yeah, I mean, we can jump back over there. I think we should just stick for a minute here to see if Mark can try to find something.
Sure. I mean, Reed Duke is an amazing player, certainly the best left in this tournament, and one of the very best in the world. So, I mean, I love every opportunity to watch him play.
Sure.
But this
is.
I just don't love the opportunity to watch him play 5 and 6 drops as his opponent's stuck on 2.
You don't want to see him play with his food.
I'm happy for Reed. I'm happy he's winning. He deserves it.
Sure.
Great guy, great player. But I'm more interested in that super close game over there than I am watching Nessie and Asp fight Bronze Sable.
Rashad, do you think we can pop back over to that one shortly here? I think we should watch this one for a little while longer, but now he's got an Nessie and Asp that is probably going to eat this Deathbellow Raider, and things are kind of spiraling out of control here, and it looked like we had a pretty exciting game going on the other one. I'm curious if Adam even played his
Reap what is
Zone. Yeah, I mean, he does get extra counters. He did play it. Okay, Rashad says he played it.
Yeah, so he has a big Voyaging Satyr and a big Nessie and Asp.
Yeah.
But the Falnik's leader died, and it didn't even kill both guys, right? It only kills the Staunch-Hearted Warrior.
It ended up being 6, so that's right. The other he needed to get to 7 power
and
in order to kill both.
And he draws a card off the Fate Foretold. So then we're going to have to see what Frank can mount to fight against that 6.
Yeah, why don't we move over there? Reed's got a Keepsake Organ on top of his deck. He also hit a free land off of his Courser of Crufix. And, I mean, look, you never want to call one done before it's done, but this one's done.
Yeah, Mark's got a Bronze Sable.
Yeah, Reed Duke is not going to lose from this point. It's just not possible. So why don't we pop back over there and get to a match that is still in contention. We're going to keep you updated on this one. So once the final tally's in, we'll let you know. But I feel pretty safe with that assumption as we move back over here. And, he just said it. He's got a big Nessie and Asp, and he's got a big Voyaging Satyr.
Even the Voyaging Satyr, with the counter from the Reap and the 2 counters from the Falnik's leader, what is that, a 4/5 Voyaging Satyr?
Yes.
So, I mean, this is a great game. I mean, this is 2 giant creatures facing down 4 smaller creatures, one of which is unblockable if Frank wants to spend mana.
All right, looks like Adam's going to attack with Nessie and Asp here. No great blocks for his opponent currently, though there are ways things could get a little out of hand. Right now, Adam has just enough mana
to make it even bigger.
To make it even bigger. He decides not to here, of course. He just says sure, and he's going to presumably maybe go for a block and then a monstrous here.
I mean, it's only a 7/8.
Can we add 4 more counters to that,
make
please?
it bigger. I don't think that thing's big enough. So I don't know the life totals, but this looks like a race between the 3 damage from Agent Horizon and Frank running out of creatures.
Yeah, it does look exactly like that. And I think we're actually getting the graphic ready for you guys now. Yeah, so we'll have that up once our featured judge down there.
And Frank does have one spell in hand, it looks like. Is that an island or is that a blue card?
He just hit his 2nd island. It could be something that's double blue, maybe.
Yeah, I can't tell.
He's definitely got a forest.
This looks like a pretty tight game, though. I mean, with the Voyaging Satyr holding off the other 2 ground guys, assuming Frank doesn't have like a bounce or a pump or something. He's got Adam dead in 4 attacks. He's currently got 2 chump blockers. He needs more.
Right.
But you get draw steps. And that looks like a sudden storm. If that's a sudden storm, Frank's got this game pretty well in hand, I would say. I don't know if that's a sudden storm.
If it's a sudden storm, he could potentially have lethal here, right? I mean,
Yeah.
right now he's at 8. He can attack him for 9. If Adam has just sort of nothing else.
Yeah. Adam has to draw a creature here. But if he does draw a big creature that can hold off the 2 little guys,
this is really interesting.
That's why I wanted to go to this game.
Yeah,
this
I'm
is
with
like
you.
a tight, interesting game.
That's right. Now, and I think, isn't the Nessian Asp up to 11 power right now?
Yeah.
So that's not quite lethal, but any trick could get it done. So, like, Frank probably just has to fire off the Sudden Storm if he has it, because he can't block, and he doesn't have lethal if he does.
No, if he has the Sudden Storm, I think you're going to go ahead and tap those 2 guys.
It
looks like it's a Voyaging Satyr and a Nessian Asp, but it's actually a Nessian Asp and a Nessian Asp.
Yeah.
That Voyaging Satyr is a 4/5.
Yeah.
That is a huge Voyaging Satyr.
It's a Nessian Birds of Paradise, but yeah.
So I mean, I would almost certainly go ahead and tap them both. Why start chump blocking earlier? You scry, you ensure you have more, decent draw steps, or not ensure, but increase your chances.
What is that in Adam Mancuso's hand? Is it a Prowler's Helm? Don't think that would matter if that is Sudden Storm. Oh, interestingly, this is interesting. Now,
and I'm not even sure that Frank has a Sudden Storm. I'm pretty sure that's not a land, but I mean, it might be an island, and he definitely has like 1 forest in hand and 1 card that looks blue to me.
All right, get some nice, pretty dice that are easier to see. Also, they match the cards. That's pretty nice. It also matches his whole deck.
And I mean, Frank could say to himself here, like, I could take it, Sudden Storm the 2 blockers, and have lethal, but then he dies to a pump spell.
Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier, is that, it's close. He goes to 1 technically, but any pump spell kills him.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't do that. It's unnecessarily risky. I mean, Sudden Storm keeps him tapped for a whole nother turn.
Exactly.
So, I mean, let Adam have his 1 blocker if he drew one.
So do you think that he doesn't have Sudden Storm now?
Maybe not.
Okay.
It's definitely possible that it's not Sudden Storm.
Okay.
I mean, it could be an island, to be honest. Because I'm pretty sure if it was any blue card that could be cast, it would be cast.
Mm-hmm.
So I think maybe it was just an island.
Okay, there's that forest that we know we saw. And Adam has chosen to cast nothing on his turn. I still don't know exactly. I think it's a Prowler's Helm, but I can't quite tell. These players are both making our jobs tough here today, Ben. They're holding their cards close. Okay, that is a Siren of the Fanged Coast, though, right?
Yeah, and the other one does look like an island, I think. Okay. Although, if it is an island, no, it doesn't make any sense. If it was an island, Frank would have played it instead of the forest, so he could activate the Agent of Horizons and cast the Siren of Fanged Coast.
That's right.
So it can't be an island. So what is it? Oh, okay.
Oh, it's a Nyxborn Triton.
That makes some sense.
Make this unblockable.
And last turn he was 1 mana short of making it unblockable and bestowing it.
I see.
So he held it. That makes sense.
Okay, so he's got Adam Mancuso on a 1-turn clock here.
Right, and he's got a chump blocker. So
he's got a chump blocker.
Adam has to have something. And
he's got to have something.
Not much.
There's not that much. I mean, he could have something along the lines like a time defeat here.
Yeah.
And that's not going to do it, and Adam has to scoop it up. We're going to get a Game 3 here in the semifinals. All right. The text match. Thank you, Rashad. That was Blake Rasmussen there working on the text feature matches. You guys can find all of the text pieces on dailymtg.com in the coverage section. They do a lot of great work, our coverage text writers. You can find feature matches of individual rounds. You can also just find features that they do where, they'll go ask pros. I'm sure you've taken part in a lot of these things.
Quick questions.
Quick questions, or maybe build my pool, or, whatever. And a lot of interesting stuff there on the text side for sure.
Loads of fun.
Mm-hmm. The top 8 bracket, as you can see, to get here, Frank Scarron had to beat Hall of Famer William Huey Jensen. Huey, he had a tough seat in the draft, and the deck didn't come together for him. And Frank's deck looks quite strong, was able to beat Huey pretty quickly, it looked like. BDM described it as the ignition never quite started for Huey.
I'd say I felt bad for Huey, but it's his 6th GP top 8 this year, so I could only feel so bad for him.
So Frank Scarron advanced to the semifinals there. Then Adam Mancuso, his deck looks really good, too. He played against Danny Goldstein. We never actually saw Danny. I don't think we had him on camera. He snuck into the top 8. It was like, I don't know what he drafted.
I'm not going to lie. I couldn't pick him out of a lineup. I have no clue who Danny Goldstein is.
Yeah, well, over here in the booth, people think that we, get a lot of FaceTime with the people in the top 8, and we actually don't. It's funny. But anyway, Adam was able to beat him and advance to play in this one where he's now in Game 3 versus Frank Scarron. On the other side of the bracket, though, we've got our first finalist. It's Reed Duke. How did he get here? Well, he had to beat Pierre Mondon, and it wasn't that close. I mean, Reed just kind of did exactly what he wanted to do, and Pierre, who wasn't very happy with his deck, admittedly, wasn't able to mount much of an offensive, and Reed kind of ran him over. That put him in the semifinals. Down on the bottom part of the bracket, Christian Calcano drafted sort of an unorthodox deck. It was a blue-white control deck. He first picked Afara. Again, by the way, that's not the first time today he's done that. And he was not able to get past Mark Evaldi, who advanced to play against Reed Duke. Now, we just saw that match a minute ago, and poor Mark was stuck missing land drops and greatly outclassed as far as the board state win. And in fact, Reed Duke did get by him.
Yeah, I mean, Reed has a great deck. I mean, there's no question. Reed navigated this draft. Reed did not start out in black. He found that black was open. He moved in. He got greatly rewarded. And now, we've seen two not really close matches against Reed. I mean, both opponents, I mean, his draws were good, but not perfect, except for that game one, in the quarters.
Sure.
And his opponents played creatures and everything and really didn't get him that low. And, he really wasn't even in jeopardy much in either of those matches.
Right. All right, I think we're underway here in the deciding game of the semifinals here. Adam Mancuso is going to be on the play as he lost the last game. And I think that's going to benefit him a lot. Decks that do well with a lot of combat tricks love being on the play because you have to tap out to play your creature, then you get to attack them, represent a combat trick, often just get through for damage, and keep developing your board.
Yeah, it looks like Adam's deck has the ability to go a little bigger, and Frank Scarron has maybe the unblockable and presumably some bounce or disruption from blue.
All right, so here's a nice start for Adam with a, not particularly aggressive, but a nice Voyaging Satyr to start powering stuff out, fix his mana up. And a good start on the other side of the table, both solid 2-drop Swordwise Centaur for Frank Scarron.
And that's what Frank wants, because Frank wants to be the aggro deck in this matchup. Because, I mean, we haven't seen that much, but from what we've seen so far, it looks like Adam's deck goes bigger, and it looks like Frank's deck probably can punch through the last couple damage if it needs to with Agent or with Bounce or with Sunstorm or things like that. So Frank is very happy probably to have his 2-mana 3/2 on turn 2 in a matchup where he needs to be the aggro deck.
That's right. And Adam, we just talked about this. Adam's attacking now with his Voyaging Satyr.
Yeah, he's fearless. But, this attack obviously probably makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going on the assumption Adam doesn't have a 4-drop to cast or something.
Sure.
And now he's got a 3/4 creature attacking on the third turn on the play. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yep.
Last time with the Phalanx Leader, that attack was a little ambitious.
It was.
I'm looking at Frank's list. He's got a Voyage's End. He's got a Nimbus Naiad. He doesn't have a ton of great blue disruption or bounce or anything like that.
Oh, wow. This is a big one here. Hunt the Hunter is going to just eat that Voyaging Satyr and just get ye old 2-for-1 here.
Yeah.
And it's also going to allow Swordwise Centaur to get into the red zone. Adam knew it was coming. He was putting that thing in the graveyard before it was done. And you mentioned it last turn. He doesn't have a 4-drop to play. He doesn't have one now either.
Yeah, his hand looks like it's mostly land.
And here's another 3 damage coming in for Adam against Adam. Adam doesn't have Divine Verdict here either. At least he should choose not to use it if he does. And this could get ugly here. Frank doesn't have a ton of pressure, but now he does. I mean, that's 6 power.
It's really tough for a green-white deck to remove Agent.
Yes, that's a 4-turn clock on its own.
Right. So if he takes like another hit before doing things, I mean, he's in deep trouble. I mean, we know that.
He's in deep indeed, Ben, and I think that we might see a quick one here. This is a 2-turn clock, like 2 turns of those creatures with nothing else from Frank, and this game's going to be, from Adam, and this is going to be over.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still excited for a Frank Scarron Reed Duke Finals. You're talking about one of the best players in the world versus one of the best limited players in the world.
There you go.
I mean, Frank Scarron is held in high regard as far as I know, in booster draft and in limited.
Wow, and that makes things even more troublesome. The Noble Quarry should lock things up here for Frank. I mean, that means that the lethal gets through, and we see the hand extended. And, it's just a bunch of lands. Not much you can do there, Adam, and that's going to do it. He's explaining, I was going to do this, and then this was going to happen.
Yeah, it looks like it kind of we can, but I think Adam was probably correct to keep it because it had 2 to 3 spells, and then he just drew, 3 lands, 1 spell.
Yeah.
And, that happens.
Yep, it does.